Whoa, it's the CEU podcast.
We are here for the 150th time, at least.
150th, at least.
I probably miscounted somewhere.
Yeah.
This could be only 149 or 151, but it's the CEU podcast, completely unnecessary podcast, going strong for 5.5 years.
We out here.
More than 5.5 years already.
Yep.
Alongside irritable Ian Ferguson.
Howdy.
I'm paltry Pat Contry.
Pat Country.
Not poultry. And we have a lot
Poultry?
I just said not poultry.
Oh, poultry. That's, yeah, I said poultry.
Yes.
Still funny.
My little chicken legs. Well, we talk about lots of great stuff. Something we never spoke about in the podcast before, about the DCEU movies.
We've never mentioned them.
That wasn't our first topic ever on the podcast or anything. Resident Evil games being more expensive on Switch. The Paprium fiasco, which sounds like a lack of a spice out there. Collectibles being sold by people. Wow, that's new. A scumbag seller of the week. Tales from the game store. And a Q&A topic or two. Ian, what do you think about when you think about 150 episodes? Or podcasts, I should say.
Boy, we've been doing this for a long time.
Boy, we've been doing it.
Yeah.
Well, in our defense, not in our defense. So, for the first 2 months of this year, we've been doing these weekly. So we're going there faster. We would have been here like a year and a half ago. We would have been here a long time ago, or 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, definitely going weekly has sped it up, but I feel like the content is more or less still the same, which is great.
As bad as it's ever been.
Yep.
As mediocre as it's ever been.
And it's been fun. It's been wild and wacky.
It's been wild wacky.
I look at us having 150 episodes, and I'm like, that's a ton. And then I look at the podcasts that are in like the 200s and 300s, and it's like,
but they cheat and do them weekly, and we started before most of them.
I don't think that's cheating
They cheat.
necessarily.
Well, I'm just gonna say this isn't a humble brag, but we used to be scoring the top 10 of gaming podcasts when we came out.
Sure.
Like episodes used to get in the top 5. Again, this is 2013, 14, where there wasn't a huge amount, and most of them were like from IGN, a lot of these podcasts. And if we had been doing them weekly, we would have doubled our numbers, and we would have been up there. Sure. You know, we would have been the ones with like doing the traveling conventions instead of Kind of Funny. we would have our shows where we come out. We should do that. We should go on Ticketmaster and some. But no, it's been fun. It's been good. Ian's a good chap most of the time.
Yeah, Pat's okay.
I'm just okay.
Most of the time.
That's the most compliment he's given me the past 5 years. He's okay most of the time. You know, we still butt heads from time to time, but whatever. Probably not as awfully as we used to, I think.
No, certainly not.
We both simmered down a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm a lot less crazy.
I'm a lot less crazy. A lot less crazy.
Ian doesn't have the hangry energy, I would say. He acts hangry when he's not hangry sometimes, I'll just say. We have an NES marathon, charity marathon.
We sure do.
Supporting Rady Children's Hospital. Go to nesmarathon.com. You can donate to see us play a game. We're going to have a spinny wheel with a dry eraser, and we're going to come up tomorrow. We're going to finalize it. I think one of them's going to be like Pat Sings. Maybe a different system game can be played if you spin the wheel. Every $500, you spin the wheel, make a deal. And that's what's going to happen. Physical challenge.
I'll just shoot straight hot sauce.
I don't think we're supposed to. I don't think you're allowed to drink liquor. Are you allowed to drink liquor?
Hot sauce.
Can you drink liquor, though?
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know what the stream's TOS is, but we're doing that for a great cause. I think we're over 1,000 already. We have a couple sponsors. PRGD's back in there. We're going to have a few more. Luna Video Games, 2 locations. Chula Vista and El Cajon will probably sponsor again. And more. And we're going to have Andre Meadows and Gerard Khalil and Alex Fasciani about there, and Vonnie and Ian and me, and maybe a guest. We'll see. No Spike the Hole. Ruin my place.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. Then you can go to ultimatesnes.com for a certain Super Nintendo guidebook. There's 10 days left. Then you can never get it after that, ever. Wink, wink.
Yeah, get it now.
Then sad news about Keith Flint of the Prodigy fame, passing away at 49.
Yep, that's.
If you want to talk about it real quick, but very influential, obviously, for electronic music. The biggest act of the 90s probably for electronic music, and really helped make it more mainstream.
He was huge. I mean,
he wasn't there in the first album. Right?
He was. He's a dancer.
He was just a dancer?
The Prodigy. So the Prodigy was together.
It was 2 guys originally.
So Liam Howlett is the only guy who really does the music, and then there was Maxim and Keith Flint. And if you look on the back of the first album, you'll see Keith Flint, and he's there.
Oh, he is.
Long blonde
I thought
hair.
he didn't actually produce any music though until like the second or third.
He doesn't, but he didn't. But they were still
They were still
part of a
around
band.
him.
They're
Okay.
still a band. That was considered the group.
Okay.
And same with music for the Jilted Generation. And then
Is that the second?
that's the second one.
Okay.
And then when Fed of the Land came out, he
became the front man.
It's funny
Yeah.
too, because you look at the pictures of him on the first two albums, and then you look at him on Fed of the Land, and it's obviously very different. But by adding a front man to the Prodigy, they kind of broke that weird. People had hang-ups in the 90s about electronic music, especially music without like vocals. So
It's not real music. I heard this from assholes in college.
Yeah.
It's not real music. I was like, what is that? What are you like a fucking old man in the 50s thinking
Yeah.
rock and roll's not music? It's music, electronic music. What the fuck are you talking about?
So Keith Flint, went from being, a dancer and an auxiliary member of the group to arguably transforming them and giving them their pop success by creating a front man and an icon, someone to visually associate with the band. And
if you don't know out there, if you don't know what we're talking about, Fat Land was what, the third album? It was
Third
one
album.
that blew them out.
with Firestarter.
Firestarter, Smack My
Breathe.
Bitch Up, and Breathe. Like,
Yep.
and they had the frontman, I forget the other guy's name, but they were all over their MTV.
Maxim.
They were performing, and this was something that you did not see before, electronic group like performing in the mainstream. It just was not a thing before that. Then after that, it opened the door to people listening to other electronic music, like Fatboy Slim got popular, and so they really did like bust down the door for that. And I was huge into electronic music in the late 90s. Obviously Ian was as well, so it really was nice to see something like that happen. Yeah, it's 49 is way too young, obviously.
Yep.
It's a shame.
So yeah, that's a bummer. My friend and I were talking that we're getting to this age now where we can see these people who grew up and went through that scene, and yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. None of these people were kind to their bodies for the most part. So,
Sure.
So that's not how Keith Flint passed away. He unfortunately took his own life. But the mileage, I guess, that you put on your body and your mind,
Oh, sure. If you're doing a lot of drugs and alcohol, even if your health is fine, yeah, your mind's still a little messed up. You have depression mixed in with there as well. So yeah, it's.
I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's
doesn't
something
help.
to watch.
It doesn't
Right,
help.
Right.
Substance abuse never helps. So yeah, it's just sort of sad. I'm glad to see though that people online came out and say like, oh, this is very important. It wasn't just like tossed aside.
Right.
And I think they just had an album, I believe.
They
fairly
did.
recently.
They did. They were about to tour in the U.S. as well.
Well, that's a shame then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can still
that
tour
was-
without him, but
That was
unless
a
he's singing, you
huge
can't.
part of my youth.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna move on with the topics of the day.
Oh yeah, Pat.
We've never spoken about ever this topic. It wasn't the first topic ever on the podcast, ever. Talking about the state of the DCEU, or if you wanted to say the DC movies universe, cinematic universe. So they basically confirmed, Warner Brothers, that little experiment's done.
Yep.
It's over.
Kevin Tsujihara, the chief of Warner Brothers, has confirmed the studio has moved away from the idea of a connected universe for its DC superhero properties, otherwise known as the DCEU.
Rest in peace, DCEU 2015 to 2019, basically. Because the first Man of Steel wasn't connected to anything originally.
Right.
Then they decided
Everything needed to be connected.
Everything needed to be connected.
They needed to copy the Marvel formula.
So right after, on our first podcast, they cast Affleck, right?
Right.
That was our first 2013.
Yeah, our first topic.
Late summer. You had Moody Batman. So that's what they decided. You know what? We want to jump forward to Justice League, because they saw what Marvel had done over 4 years, built up to their own cinematic universe, which had never been done before to that extent, building up over was it 4 or 5 movies to get to Avengers. You had Captain America, you had Iron Man 1 and 2, you had Thor, and then you had I'm missing one. Incredible Hulk counts as well. So you had multiple movies to build up. And then, you know, DC more was like, we can do that. We got superheroes too.
We can totally do this.
And unlike Marvel,
it'll be easy.
And unlike Marvel Studios, we control them all. They're not splintered out everywhere. Well, now they have almost everyone back, thank God. So they decided to rush to do Batman v Superman. So at the time, Ian and I were like, okay, this is risky because you're doing the exact opposite of what Marvel's doing.
Right. You're not doing it slow. You're doing it fast.
You're doing it fast. You're introducing in Batman v Superman. They introduce there's a Flash cameo, Cyborg guy cameo,
Cyborg.
no, still not. Jason Momoa cameo, my man cameo in that, and then you basically Wonder Woman co-stars, and then you have Batman and Superman.
Yeah,
it's basically Justice League 0.5.
And you're introducing the Batman as well.
Yes, you're introducing him
the new Batman
after a successful trilogy with from Nolan, which has no connection to anything else.
You're introducing him not in his own movie, but as a foil to Superman,
and having a huge fight that same year in 2016. Remember, it was 2016 that came out only. It came out only 2.5 years ago. Batman v Superman.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. That's wild.
Because it came out right when Civil War did. And that was 2016. Did I have that wrong?
I don't know. I'm looking.
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. What's the date of that, Ian?
We're looking here. It is, release was March 25th, 2016.
Yeah. And then they did Justice League a year later in 2017. And they did, and then also Wonder Woman came out in early 2017, I believe. So, and then you had Aquaman come out late last year. So you had them do the opposite. They went basically Justice League 0.5, then Justice League, before most of the characters besides Wonder Woman did not have their own movie. And Superman.
They basically
again, Man of Steel was not supposed to be connected to anything at first.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be all disconnected.
So, yeah, they did the ensemble movie first, and then afterwards tried to drip out the...
And they didn't even get there. That's what's so frustrating about this.
Right.
They had this plan for, okay, this is going to be Cyborg, then we're going to do Flash, then we're going to do Batman, then we're going to do Green Lantern, then build them all in there. And they couldn't even do like 2 a year to this point of individual. They couldn't. Flash is gone. Like, Flash is not going to happen. That's supposed to be a Fast and the Furious director. That's not even on the slate. Cyborg has been gone forever. That's not happening. The only reason Aquaman came out is because that was done in advance before they canceled all the other ones. And it was a success, so they're going to do another one. And Wonder Woman 2 is going to come out, I believe, later this year or next year, Wonder Woman 84, because the first movie did well. So the individual movies have done well. The Justice League wasn't even horrible. It was so bland that I watched it on a plane and don't ever have to watch it again. And that was all bad because they fired Zack Snyder, and then they brought in what's his name to redirect it, who did Avengers, and it just Joss Whedon, and it was just you can tell it was just disjointed. So we're not on the Marvel payroll, but we told you so from 2013. This was a bad idea.
Yeah, this was not going to be a good plan.
If Ian and I, we would have worked for scale. Me and Ian.
Yeah,
we could have been working at Warner Brothers, and we could have put together a better plan than the bigwigs. We could have. Any of you could.
I was going to say most of the listeners could have.
You could have said, "Listen, we'll do Justice League in 5 years. We'll just do the 4 or 5 individuals first. Hopefully, the Green Lantern movie comes out because that sounds like a great idea, like a space cop movie. That sounds like a great idea to come out. But yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, Superman and Batman have to be recast. Oh, sorry to tell you that.
Yeah.
sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
the 2 biggest guys have to be recast within 5 years. Well, Affleck technically within 3 years.
Yeah,
that is insane.
It's bizarre.
You got one Superman movie, one team up movie technically, and then Justice League where he's in the movie for only like the last half.
Right.
So let's just say 2.5 movies. For Batman, you get one movie where it's a team up,
Superman,
Justice League,
and then he has a brief cameo in
some sort of Suicide Squad, which they are rebooting. Yes. Suicide Squad, technically. It's a soft reboot from a movie that came out 2 years ago. The whole thing is in fucking tatters. It's nuts. Oh, and by the way, there's going to be a standalone Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. That has nothing to do with anything. Just because.
Just because why the fuck not? We're going to get a movie on Harley's hyenas? I mean...
Oh, I think you're supposed to do a Birds of Prey movie, I think.
Oh,
but
yeah,
that might have been canceled, though. I can't keep track of it anymore.
They were supposed to do Birds of Prey.
But the fact that the fact that Affleck was vacillating early on, I think he was really upset about Batman v Superman, and then after that he was out.
Yeah, he looked like, very sad about it.
He just wanted to give him a hug. But at that point, I just think it was over.
Yeah,
but the fact that
it really was over with Batman after Batman vs Superman.
He's like, okay, I got to do Justice League, and they try to make Justice League happier. Then they really try to make it happier by firing Zack Snyder, who was the head of the DCEU.
If I was in control of everything, there'd be prison rape.
I don't know if he exactly said those words, but
he said that about Batman Begins.
He said if I was in control,
he said there would have been a prison rape scene.
So this isn't spiking the football, but this is not how you run your cinematic universe, or maybe it's just harder than we think, and only Marvel got it right.
Zack Snyder says Batman could get raped. Business Insider, May 3rd, 2016.
I mean, technically anyone can get raped, but
I mean, I'm just saying. He said, everyone says that about Batman Begins. Batman's dark. I'm like, okay, no, Batman's cool. He gets to go to a Tibetan monastery and be trained by ninjas. Okay, I want to do that. But he doesn't, like, get raped in prison. That could happen in my movie. If you want to talk about dark, that's how that would go. So let's not tell me that that's not exactly what he said when that's exactly what he fucking said.
So I remember that was a point where they decided to fire him off of Justice League, because Justice League was filming in 2016.
Holy shit!
So you couldn't have any to do a Flash movie or a Green Lantern movie, who still hasn't showed up. You barely eked out Wonder Woman, and then Aquaman barely got out. So I guess they're going to continue with Wonder Woman, Aquaman, because everyone loves Jason Momoa, and that movie did better than expected.
It's fucking fantastic to me that of all the characters they've introduced, that they've introduced,
show me the shirt.
It's not Batman
or Superman
and Superman who have a rosy future ahead of them. It's Aquaman and Wonder Woman. So that's great.
Who aren't exactly B-listers, but they're not the stalwart ones. Well,
Wonder Woman is, but Aquaman is absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not.
It's funny that's how it works out. I guess they didn't have Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck sign more than 3 movies each, and let them go.
Well, it shows you what they actually. I mean, it shows you what the studio actually thought about the DCEU. They're like,
because Cavill wasn't the problem in the movies; it was the writing and the directing. He was okay. He looks like Superman. He
was all right,
but he wasn't the problem. Affleck was not the problem. Affleck, people gave shit for Affleck. Affleck wasn't a bad Batman. He really wasn't.
I mean, working with what he was given.
Yes, that they weren't the problem. But they're like, fuck it, we're out. Cavill's probably like, you know what? I may got a chance to be the next James Bond. I'd rather do that. Yes,
right, yeah,
I would too. I would too want that. By the way, that's finally going to come out. Is it later this year? The Bond, 25th Bond with Craig, which is his 5th and last one. Thankfully, he's getting a little long in the tooth, but at least he's in shape, not like Roger Moore, who was awful in his last 3 Bond movies.
What a fucking doughy little bum that guy was.
Woo! He was not. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, it's just everything comes around. So here we are. They got to recast Batman already. Got to recast Superman. No Superman movie in sight. Solo. It's been 6 years since a solo Superman movie.
No Batman movie in sight.
No Batman movie. No, they have one in sight, but they don't know what Deadshot's going to be in it.
No, they canceled that one. I thought that was the one that Ben Affleck was supposed to be in.
They still want to do it. I thought.
Oh.
We can't keep track. Okay, is that anything to add on here? This fucking. Meanwhile, Marvel is putting out. We forget about Shazam, but that's not even connected to these other movies. We have 2 Captain Marvel movies coming out in basically the same month, which is nuts. It's insane that's happening. The timing of it, even.
What?
Shazam and Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah.
Are coming out within weeks of each other.
Yeah,
it's insane. And Marvel can do no wrong. They're just set. They had their C-listers come out with movies that everyone sees. So,
and I expect that Captain Marvel will be pretty good too.
They're all watchable and entertaining in some.
Yeah, the worst ones are
even the worst ones like Iron Man 2. You can still watch to say this isn't a complete clusterfuck.
It's just boring.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Capcom bringing Resident Evil to the Switch. So to no real surprise, Resident Evil HD Remaster, the one that was originally on GameCube, Resident Evil 0, which originally came out on GameCube, and Resident Evil 4, all three of which were originally GameCube games, are getting ports to the Nintendo Switch.
That's good news.
This makes sense because these have been ported everywhere. So Resident Evil 4 was originally supposed to be a GameCube exclusive, and Resident Evil 0, I believe, was at the time as well. The Resident Evil HD Remaster. I think all of those were technically supposed to be exclusives to GameCube.
But
of course, they got ported eventually. Resident Evil 4 ended up on the PlayStation 2.
it was on the Wii, it's where I hadn't played it.
Resident Evil 4 was on, it was on the Wii. It was
sold gangbusters.
It was on the PlayStation 2. The Resident Evil HD remakes and Resident Evil 0 also got put on the Wii. Then they got ported to, I believe it was the PS3 and 360, and now they're on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So they've been ported a billion times. I may have been wrong with one of those there, but I think that's actually accurate. So now it's the Switch's turn to get them. The Switch is getting a lot of stuff, and that's cool. However, people are a little upset over the pricing of these Resident Evil games on the Switch. They're being listed as $30 a piece. Now, that's for digital copies of games that have been out,
15 years?
Some of them, yeah, I mean, almost that long. It's got to be about that long.
Resident Evil 0 is probably around there. And then
yeah.
Resident Evil 4 was 1 or 2 years after that?
No, Resident Evil 4 was before it. So,
and these are straight ports. These aren't remakes. These aren't remasters.
No, these are straight ports. So they're going to have the... they're getting like the simple upscaling conversions and stuff like that, but that's it.
Resident Evil 4 was 2005. So 14 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Which is outstanding game. Yes, I played it, beat it all, played through it.
That's good. That's good. So they're normally digitally they're about $19.99 a piece on other consoles. So on the PS4, you can go and get these games for $20 a piece.
Which I think would be reasonable for a game that not a lot of work went into a re-release of a 15-year-old game.
And
I guess.
they did an Origins collection of those as well that you can get physically for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One. There was also digital where it would come with Resident Evil 0 and the Resident Evil original remake. And I think that was like $40 when it came out.
Okay.
So now we're getting these on the Switch. They're $30 a piece. And those aren't for physical copies. They're doing a physical physical release of, they're doing the Resident Evil Origins collection, but only Resident Evil 0 will be on the game card. Resident Evil Remake will be a download. So you're paying $60 for a cartridge with one game, and then getting for a game that's normally $20, and then you're getting a free download code.
When did the HD Resident Evil first come out?
Around the same time as Resident Evil 4.
So a 15-year-old game they want you to repay $60 for?
$60 for 0 and the original remake, and you're only getting a physical copy of 0.
Then you got to go download the... They couldn't put both on it?
No.
Are you... Fuck? What?
Yeah. And this is actually a thing that some companies have been doing on the Switch, and it drives me nuts.
To save space on a smaller card?
Well, to save money on a smaller card.
How much space do those old games take up? A gig?
I don't know. They should be able
They're
to
originally
fit
on
the
PlayStation 2?
There's a 16 gigabyte card for the Switch. They could totally do it.
Well, I'm saying is these should fit on an 8.
So
these games weren't huge. They came out 15 years ago.
So that's where we're at on it. And it is kind of ridiculous. I think some people are misattributing this to Nintendo. Some people are saying, well, it's to make up the price of the cartridges. These cartridges can't be that expensive to need to increase $10 a piece on a
No, absolutely not.
Especially if it's a digital version. There's no reason to increase the price of the digital version.
If you want to make the case that, it might cost a couple bucks for the bigger card or whatever. Okay, sure. But definitely not. Yeah, if it's digital, there's no cost.
Right. But Capcom and companies in general seem to be doing this with the Switch, where games that are getting ported to it for the first time are, for a large part are being charged as new games. So when we got LA Noire on the Switch, they were charging the full price for it. That's a game that you can get complete with everything for like $5 to $10 on the original Xbox 360. So there seems to be a Switch tax.
Maybe they see that gamers need this content on the Switch, so they're willing to pay more. Since like the first party games that are new aren't coming to this as normally as the other consoles, I figure, well, they're going to pay a little bit more for it. Doesn't make any sense.
But for these Resident Evil games, especially like digital versions, that's simply doing it because they think they can squeeze that extra $10.
It's just Capcom being greedy.
Yeah, and I mean,
because I can't picture Nintendo taking a bigger cut than PlayStation, than Sony or Microsoft digitally. I can't picture why they would do that.
I don't think they'd have the huge
they wouldn't have
indie game base that they do.
No, they wouldn't have the leverage to do it. They couldn't ask for more. So at the very least, they're taking you're getting the same cut. Capcom is getting the same cut wherever they're selling it, most likely. They're getting their whatever, they're 70% or something like that.
So yeah, that's where we're at with it, and it's just that's ridiculous.
Capcom, come on.
But
this is almost as bad as your awful typewriter we spoke about. Yeah. Flashback, CU Podcast 150 episode flashback.
So yeah, I don't know how well these will sell.
Like if Resident Evil 4 is a game that you can go back to and play because it's like a 10 out of 10.
All the games that they're selling here are good games,
but $30
right
is egregious, especially since it's been re-released multiple times. Like,
well, and I finally downloaded the Resident Evil 1 remake to play it, and I think I got it on sale through PlayStation Network for $10 or $15. You know, as opposed to 30. There's just no reason.
It's like a portable tax.
Yeah.
You want to take it outside your house, you're going to pay 50% more for the game that we didn't do any real work on to come out to the system. So, okay. And
yes, sir.
We have not really spoken about this topic before, I think.
So I've wanted to talk about it. We haven't. It's been brought up. It's been suggested. But now I'm a person who likes to just wait a little bit and see where something falls.
You wanted to marinate the topic.
Especially, this isn't, we're going to get here, but this isn't like I guess like a Coleco Chameleon thing where we know it's a problem right off the bat, because this company that we're about to talk about,
this is
Watermelon Games, we're about to talk about Paprium. They did release a game in the past, and they did see it through to completion. Pure Solar. Now, Pure Solar was not without its problems, not without its massive delays.
But it came out.
So even though when this was first brought to my attention, I think it was last summer or something like that, I was like, okay, this is definitely a problem. They're definitely not handling this well, but let's see what happens. So we're going to talk about that. So Paprium was supposed to be a massive beat 'em up for the Sega Genesis.
Streets of Rage style.
Exactly. Supposed to be huge. Going to have save slots. They like to tout the fact that it was going to have save slots.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. Oh, you should go.
Save slots? Okay.
Yeah. Go to the Paprium homepage.
They had this huge marketing video when they took pre-orders, like slickly done. They got this buff Asian fighter dude. It looks like a 90s commercial. It's a fantastic promo video, and it shows what we think might be the game being played.
Yeah, but probably not really. So immediately they announced it, and they're touting all sorts of things for it. It's going to be size shock. This is right off the website. Nothing too grand for the Ultimate Mega Drive Genesis game. Size shock, 80 meg, 24 levels, 5 playable characters.
Speed shock.
Uncompromised, 60 frames per second, advanced 16-bit visuals.
And when you see the trailer, I mean, they have like fire extinguishers, and they're freezing up the enemies. There's 6 guys on the screen at once. This looks like an incredibly ambitious beat 'em up. The characters are big. Sound shock. What's the sound shock?
24 channels, FM synthesis, PSG, and DT128M16VA1LT, whatever that means.
Can you beat them all? The characters are sized like how they are like in Eternal Champions. These are like big guys.
Yeah, they're huge
on the screen. Something that you've not seen. Like, Usually in beat 'em up and Genesis games, the guys are not huge like that.
No details been compromised. 1 or 2 simultaneous player gameplay, multiple game modes, 3 save slots for an unseen before brawler size.
That guy's ripped, by the way. That guy that got with the mohawk, he's fucking ripped.
He's huge.
So Watermelon Games. This got 315,000 views. This video.
Yep. And
this was March of 2017. So 2 years ago, and then they started taking pre-orders.
well, the game was originally announced in August 2013
Oh, okay.
with a dev time of 17 months.
So that would have put it out in 2015 somewhere.
I'm looking at a timeline here that I am borrowing, thankfully, thank you, from Paprium Fiasco. .files.wordpress.com.
So it's a website that's chronicling this project as it's gone through.
In July of 2013, they are looking for a pixel artist. In October of 2013, Dat and Semi, it's a domain name. Huh?
You think you'd have a pixel artist on board before you have your schedule set for the game, since that's one of the most important things when you're doing a game like this.
Domain is registered by Gwenelle God. January 2014 images. February music is done. August beta testing soon. That's what they're saying in 2014. March 2015 there's a Tea Time. I don't know what that is. Tea Time 5 gameplay video. August 2016 Air France loses kits twice in a week. Apparently the game was 95% complete. That's what they said.
What do you mean they lost a kit?
In August 2016 they say that Air France loses some kits twice in a week.
But what does that mean? They had no backups of what the game? No,
I have no idea.
No, I don't buy that.
The game was 95% complete.
Okay.
Yeah, Pat, it was. March 2017 trailer and name reveal. So that
was the trailer I just referenced with the buff Asian guy.
And the official release date was going to be 9/16/2017. That didn't happen. At the end of September, it appears that the PayPal funds are blocked.
They're blocked.
And then they start, and so it's not mentioned entirely here, but then they start talking about how they're going to be using a custom chip, and they need a custom chip. And in October 2018, they state that there are problems with the custom chips. So, there was no ETA given for 59 months of its development in between about August 13th and February 17th. There was no ETA.
February 2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
There have been...
It's almost 4 years.
55 months worth, according to Paprium Fiasco. 55 months worth of dead air. No updates, no nothing.
Meanwhile, they've taken tons of money for pre-orders off their website. We don't know how much, though. That won't be public, right? We have no idea.
I don't believe we know, no.
Because it wasn't a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. It was just off the website.
And now, and I'm skipping something, but I'll get there.
By the way, there's also a giant thread on Sega16.com.
And now they're not issuing refunds. So let's talk about the big head of this, though. The big point, or let's talk about the peak of this nonsense. We're going to talk about in November when there was a quote unquote launch party.
By the way, the thread, this is rivaling like Click a Chameleon on Target. The thread on Sega-16.com, Ian, it's 9,000 posts long.
Wow.
606 pages. If you want to see this chronicled with some funny GIFs along the way.
So
yes, GIFs.
They were supposed to in November do a launch party essentially, and they were going to show a nearly complete build of the game, and this was supposed to be in November, and the game was supposed to actually start shipping by the end of December 2018. Which we've all heard.
Sure.
We've heard that many times. But when the people got there, when the backers got there for the party, this is what they saw.
So they advertised this as being a launch party. The game will be shown.
Yep. Game will be shown. Basically complete as what people were expecting. This is what they actually got. They got a game that was glitchy. A game that had no music. A game, at this point, if you can even call it that had no enemies.
No music. The trailer had music.
No music. No enemies. Oh, maybe that's because that was a mock-up that wasn't real.
Allegedly.
So, no enemies, No music. Game is glitchy as fuck. I don't know what could even be glitchy at that point. A person walking around a background throwing punches.
Okay, well, just what the party was to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Genesis. That was the party.
Okay.
And the impending launch of Paprium or Paprium.
Yep.
Which is an awful name for the beat 'em up, by the way. It's probably because these guys are from Europe. I don't know. That's just a terrible name for a beat 'em up.
So, and then the game PCB had wires and shit coming out of it. So it was obviously an early stage, hacked together, prototype. So, like a prototype, an alpha build.
So they load this up. There's a scrolling story, as you see it like in a game from back then. The cartridge looks like a bomb. There's just a board and wires coming everywhere from it. There's a little intro. There's a little title screen that looks pretty cool. The intro screen looks cool. That's done.
Good.
That's done. They got that far. There's different files, I guess, to save your own guy, I guess. By the way, it's supposed to be 24 levels and 5 characters, something like that.
That's insane.
Very ambitious for 24 levels for any beat 'em up.
Any brawler.
That's a lot.
I don't even know that
double.
I don't know that I would want to play a brawler that had 24
That's
levels.
a 2.5 hour brawler. That sounds like that's a lot of brawling.
Fucking Final Fight had it right.
Final Fight's the best.
5 stages.
5 or 6 stages, right?
Yeah.
That's what they had.
So these are some of the. So
you see the characters, but yeah, you go to a screen. It looks like a meat locker, and it's a guy doing elbow drops with meat spinning in the background. He's throwing punches. So the game works. He picks up the fire extinguisher or whatever that's supposed to be. Yep, no enemies.
No enemies, no music. But the music's been done. Don't forget that.
Oh, there's a second character on the screen now, but she's standing still. So I guess that's another player. You're beating up the female character with a nightstick.
Yeah, that's another player.
Okay.
So, this, after the outrage...
Okay.
This was Watermelon Games' excuse. We used a very old demo because we did not want to spoil the game for anyone.
Oh, eat me. Really?
Yeah. That's what they said.
You couldn't just show off one level. Oh, there's a woman tied up against the meat and she gets punched. Okay. So they have less than a level done.
Yes,
it seems like.
Right.
That's all we've seen. And they're joking and clapping in this. And you're still saying there's people here that... Why is anyone smiling watching this? I would be like, what the fuck have you guys been doing?
Because, I mean, it's one of those things where you
want anything.
You've bought into it so hard. Yeah. You've got to be that true believer. And there are people who are the true believers in Paprium. They think it's going to come out. Some of the excuses are
it's like Star Citizen at this point.
Oh, the PCB was broken, or no, the console was broken. No, it was an old demo to avoid spoiling the game. It'll be fixable this year. It can't be, whatever. So now it's being said that it's coming out this December.
6 years later.
December 2019. More than if it had
7 years.
Yeah, it would have been 6.5 years if it actually shipped at the end of October.
But more importantly, almost 3 years as they started taking pre-orders.
Yes.
3 years. Holy shit. Well, the level looks cool. I will give them that.
I have no idea why. I don't know why you're trying to say.
I'm just telling you, the level looks cool, but it's not a game. It's a proof of concept they showed off.
This is a tech demo. This is a fancy tech demo.
Not even tech demo, because they're not even showing how the game would actually function.
Yeah, true.
It's really just like a demo. There's a floating head in that stage. So they have a couple of stages mocked up. It looks like a subway or a mall. There's a soda machine. So not that no work's not been done. Work's been done, but not a lot of work to get to a point where they should be. Obviously,
right?
Because it looks like at this point they haven't figured out, I guess, with the tech, how do you make these huge ass sprites fight 7 on a screen at one time?
Right, and if
a Genesis can even do that,
if the cartridge is showing up at a, this party and it's got wires and everything coming out of it, that means they don't have it running on actual hardware.
Yes.
So they don't even know how to actually do this on a Genesis cartridge yet.
Yes, correct. So this is in trouble. Obviously, this is in big trouble.
Yep. So yeah, it's wild.
Why don't you work within the confines of the system? If not, You could have made this game and just released it on Steam. You could have made any beat 'em up you want and just put it on Steam, and people would have been happy. Just because it's not playing on a fucking Genesis console, you could have said this is spiritually a Streets of Rage 4 or whatever, or 5, where we're at.
Well,
No, 4's coming out. That's right.
They made their name. The only thing they made their name on was Pure Solar, which was a Genesis game. They were supposed to be known as the Genesis homebrew people, and
one game got you there, I guess, but now
one hit, and that's it. So
yikes.
I have no idea how long it took Pure Solar, but I don't think it was nearly as long as this.
Not that it's connected to something we know a little about, the Click of Chameleon, but this is the danger of when you actually get the money for something. It's actually worse, and then you try to put it out and you can't. That's the danger of some of these projects. Hey, we're going to see it in a few months with the Atari VCS. It's set to come out in the summer.
Right.
We're going to see what the hell they actually put out after getting millions of dollars, what actually comes out. It's one thing to have all dreams, but then can you actually produce? And right now, it looks like the good old folks at, what the hell is this called? Watermelon Games?
Yeah. This is running longer than Pure Solar did. Pure Solar, however they want to pronounce it. Pure Solar began development in June 8th, 2004, and was finally released on, where is it? For the Genesis version, December 20th, 2010.
Okay.
So this has gone even longer, and they're showing even less.
I would say 4-to-1 odds as this comes out. I think they're going to figure out this chip thing if they haven't so far.
I feel like
that's what's holding them back.
I feel like if legally they don't have to start getting rid of all these funds, and do refunds, I feel like we will get something at some point.
It's just disappointing.
But it's not going to even resemble that.
The guys will be this big on the screen. They'll be tiny.
Yeah. And if it comes out, awesome, neat. But I mean, this is just ridiculous.
What do you think they have, like 1,000 pre-orders at least? 2,000? How big is the Genesis?
I would say
market?
probably at least 1,000.
Okay.
I think 1,000 to maybe 2,000, just because
in that range, because there's a lot of people saw this.
A lot of people saw it, and this is the issue, because they finally shipped Pure Solar, I think people were like, oh, okay, we can trust them now, forgetting that it took them 6 years to ship Pure Solar.
Sure.
Hey everyone, Ian here with the CU Podcast, and we're proud to partner with Flex Pro Meals.
We are.
It's a meal delivery company that sends healthy pre-made meals to your doorstep. Their goal isn't to give you salad, but epic recipes.
Epic!
Entrees you may have grown up with that they make healthier versions of. Eating healthy is a lifestyle change, not a 2-week gimmick. So it's their responsibility to go the extra mile, giving us the most value with realistic meal options at a good price.
Ian, the meals are they're delicious.
Yes, they're quite good.
Chili is good. There's a couple different types of chili. The Speedy Gonzales, which is a braised chicken.
Nice.
My mouth is watering already. Intermittent fasting. It's delicious. If you want just steak and veggies, you want to just go high protein, no carbs, you want to go all that route, they got that covered.
Yeah, I occasionally go for the chicken and sweet potatoes because I love sweet potatoes.
We should all eat more sweet potatoes every day. We should have it infused into our veins, sweet potatoes. They're so good for you. It's the closest thing to dessert while still being healthy.
They're delicious.
So they have a fat trimmer plan for under $9 a meal, and the lean muscle larger portion plan for about $11 a meal. And these are good sized meals. You're not going to go hungry with these. They also have chicken Alfredo. They got a breakfast burrito. Huevos rancheros they have, which is delicious. Jesus. And more. Backyard barbecue is delicious. So right now, you can get 20% off. Oh, they even have an app where you can track your meals on the app, on your mobile device. 20% off right now. 20% off your first order. Use code CU Podcast when you visit flexpromeals.com. That's 20% off your first order at flexpromeals.com with code CU Podcast. Get going with your eating today, even though you should probably still be eating. All right, Ian, this is a topic about a nice, kindly old man who's 84. His name is Bob Mensch, and he's been collecting bunches of stuff over the years. This is from the Dover Post. Parting with his, in quote, stuff, warehouse of collectibles stun the imagination. Bob Mensch has been filling a building for years. Now he's ready to sell. So he built a 5,000 square foot warehouse to store his collection, and it's nicely displayed, by the way. It's not just all hoarded.
Right. It's in good. It's set up so people can look at it.
So he has things like he has model cars, like old ones. He has model planes. He has collectible plates.
He loves collecting Thunderbird stuff.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's a good focus. He's from Pennsylvania native. He learned how to do carpentry in 1954. Okay. So why are we talking about this? Because at some point the ride ends when it comes to these, people holding these collections. And I'm not saying, God, I got a gigantic collection, but at some point it has to go, and it goes somewhere.
Yeah.
With or without your willingness for it to happen, on this earth or beyond the grave, it's going to be gone. So it sounds like his wife told him, "You're not buying anything more. You're 84. Come on, let's enjoy the,
Right.
How many more spins around the sun do we have?" As Frank would say. How many more? So let's see. He has stacks of magazines from the 40s, stuffed toys, paintings, pewter cups and trophies, player piano rolls. I always bring it up as a perfect example about these things. Baseball caps, coffee mugs, Hot Wheel cars, capped soda bottles. Capped soda bottles? It means that they put the caps back on. Empty ones. The shell of a Cessna aircraft.
Okay.
And a half-scale World War I British fighter. From back then, or half scale? What is the guy 3 feet tall? What does that mean? I don't know. Now I want to see that. So he acquired these things, obviously, he's got a collection of 1,800 railroading books. Wow. Okay.
I'd read those.
And he goes in this article about where he acquired this stuff. He bought a collection of G.I. Joes at a church sale. He once bought a T-shirt transfer business to own the 24-foot trailer, which they restored. He has a 1938 pinball machine. Wow, that's early. Working jukebox from the 1960s. World War I, U.S. Army, Doctors Medical Foot Locker.
Flippers.
From 38, then like the late 40s?
Yeah, flippers were Humpty Dumpty, which was late 40s, early 50s.
Just the regular Bagatelle style?
Yeah.
A ballyhoo, Ian.
Yeah.
That's where the name comes from. The machine. Anyway, so what are we going to get at here? So now you're 84, you have a collection of great stuff that might have some value to the right buyer, but it's first of all, it's a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
These are probably a couple dozen different types of collections we're talking about.
And it's not focused, exactly. It's not just video games or just railroad stuff or just car stuff. It's freaking everything. Some
of the markets for this stuff is so limited that you're going to have trouble finding a buyer. You talk about someone who's a Thunderbird collector car. These are older cars. I would have to say the average Thunderbird enthusiast has to be someone at least in their mid to late 50s, because these cars were popular in the 50s and 60s. So you're really now limiting. You're limiting the number of people that could potentially buy them. Then you have to find these people.
Mm-hmm.
Then they probably have to be local in order to pick up these pristine model cars. They're not going to be shipped out. This is a lot of work to do this, first of all. When you're 84, this is going to be tough to do. The amount of time, and then the return on value won't be there at all. But you might not even find a buyer for some of this stuff.
Sure, absolutely.
The player piano rolls is something that you have to think about. Like, I go back to my grandfather who had a player piano. Player piano rolls are not easy to find, because how many people have a player piano still? They don't produce them anymore. They probably stopped making them in the 50s or 60s. They must have. But how many people want them? When I went to the swap meet last year, I saw player piano rolls. First time I'd seen them at the swap meet, or maybe twice in 10 years, and no one wanted them.
Sure.
They were, because I know they were there at 11 a.m. and they're rare, but who cares? Because who wants them? My grandfather had to give his away, I think, when he got rid of his player piano. So the point is that at some point, the number of collectors dies out. They're gone or have no interest. And he's going to be tough to get rid of this stuff. He just will be. And
because your grandkids are never, your children or your grandchildren are never guaranteed to like the same stuff that you like. And if they don't, also, if you've been collecting for so long, the market, they just come and go. They die down. Things are not as, as popular as they always would be. We talk about Elvis memorabilia. Same thing.
Yes, that's done.
Right.
And that used to be popular.
Right.
So now he says, I prefer to sell to dealers. They'll buy, they'll pay me. You don't have to hassle. But he's going to toy and train shows and handing out advertising flyers to get people to do that. number of train collectors is dwindling as well when it comes to it. Toy collecting, I think, is still fairly big, but I even think that's a market that, even though it shifts, you're going to die out. I mean, a toy collector now is going to be someone into Transformers and G.I. Joe from the 80s. Maybe not so much the 50s and 60s toys, because people are dying out that grew up with that stuff.
Right.
Because when I went to toy shows in the 90s, that's what you would see. Yeah, you'd see some G.I. Joe stuff from the 80s, but it was cheap. But you would see stuff from like the 60s and 70s and before. And the same thing I can say with all this, Ian, we can say with video game collections.
Sure.
There's going to be a phase-out period. My argument is that it has begun. It's been here for at least 1 or 2 years now. And with the same podcast, this was not planned, someone, Gu-Tang Clan, that's a familiar name on the show, he sent me a tweet. I'm trying to look at the pictures about trying to get access and obtain better pictures, but this is my town, and goes to what you have said, more people selling their collections. I don't have the tweet in front of me, but he had a bunch of tweets, a bunch of like Facebook posts and people on Craigslist posting their collections for sale. Boxes of consoles. Like one collector had 2 Vectrex boxes, 2 Jaguar boxes. That's a collector. That's someone like me that acquires that stuff over time. It's got to go at some point. It's just, when does it all flush out? And it seems like now's the time where it's starting to happen.
It is, and it kind of goes in spurts. You know, I remember, I first started working at Luna.
2 locations.
We'd see a lot more, Atari and Odyssey type stuff come in. A lot of the old weirder stuff.
Probably like 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Televisions, ColecoVisions. And that collecting scene, I don't think ever had its moment like NES collecting did, around that time. But people were selling that stuff off en masse and leaving the hobby. And those were older people that I was dealing with.
40-year-olds,
yeah,
at the time,
exactly.
15 years ago.
Because
they were 10-year-olds in the early 80s.
Right.
Or 15.
And now, Luna's still doing a brisk business, but Luna's doing a brisk business in GameCube and 64 now, and I'm seeing a lot more NES games come in and not as many moving. It used to be that would be all we sold.
Sure.
People would come in every day, be NES games, and now if I sell a couple NES games, a shift, that's pretty big.
Oh, you never told me that before. If you sell 2 NES games in one day, that's a big day for the NES?
There'll be some days I don't sell any NES games, and then there'll be days where I sell 50, but it's a lot more sporadic.
The average has gone way down.
Yeah. Like I said, people are coming in now and they're hitting up N64 stuff like they used to hit the NES stuff.
I told you, I was surprised, last time I went to your place when we did our little appearance, that I saw like mainstay popular games for sale.
Those were literally turned in like the day or two before, but still.
But is that more of a common thing? They can sit longer, like a Contra or a DuckTales?
No. Contra and DuckTales and all that stuff still goes fast, but the desire to pick up, and we've talked about this, the desire to pick up the games no one cares about.
The collector games.
Yeah, no one cares about them anymore.
No one wants Mickey Safari in Numberland,
right,
whatever that is, or Letterland. No one's really searching for that. Okay, now here's the tweet. So there's a huge collection in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's like this person has PlayStation games, PS2 games, N64 games. They have everything. They're a collector like me. There's just stacks of them. He's asking, this is a joke, but 123,456, 789. So,
right.
There's another collector on Facebook, stacks of boxed consoles. It looks like my room next door that I have to clear out eventually. I have boxed consoles here. Ooh, I want the JVC XI though in the box. Another collector, boxes of consoles. So there you have it. It's happening. I don't want to admit it, but it is. Like I said, I'm gonna sell later in the summer a chunk of stuff. I can rent a U-Haul, bring it to Luna. I can always do that.
It's good.
I don't know if you know those box consoles.
No. Box console stuff doesn't really like. That's the thing. Like in some of the stuff you can still get prices for online, but it's hard to move. For instance, what something might be worth. It's getting to the point where stores really have to pick and choose what they use. An online average for when it comes to pricing. For instance, I can still get whatever for, Contra and stuff all day. 30, 35. That's going to move. It's going to move. However, You know, now when we get like boxed consoles and stuff in, we'll get something like a boxed power base converter, and we'll be like, oh, that's really cool. And it'll show that it completes online for, you know, let's just say 125 or 150 or something
But
like
the store
that.
won't.
But because no one's coming in looking specifically for that.
Yeah.
No one's looking for that really weird shit anymore. We're back to the point in time where people want what they remember. The amount of people who are really trying to get into the weird and esoteric stuff, they just don't exist anymore. So if I want to move something like that in store, if it's going for 125 online, then I got to do it for like 75 in store.
Did you have one for $75?
No, I don't think it's that low. I'm just trying to use a random.
My box is a little beat up for my power base converter.
I'm just trying to use a random, but that's the sort of thing. You know, you can't, for things like that, you cannot charge the same prices on the open marketplace if you want to move it in a store.
Or even some weird or esoteric game library.
Sure.
You know, maybe you can charge eBay going rate for NES, but maybe it'll be tougher for Master System, or maybe it'll be tougher for, I don't know, 3DO. You know, how many people are going to come in and be wanting that specific 3DO game? Not too many.
Sure.
You know, it's the same thing. So, all right. So here it is. The sell-off started, we'll say 2017. Here we go with it. Ian,
Patrick.
we have a 150th. We haven't had one in a while. Scumbag.
Seller
Of
the
week.
week.
This comes off Twitter. It's kind of rare for a scumbag seller of the week, but it's funny. So I figured we'd do it. And of course, now I can't find it because the link doesn't go there.
So this guy. So there's a guy here who
Here's your guy.
is offering to remote install ROMs for collectors who don't know how.
This comes from Joe A. Wilkins, Mr_Joe_A on Twitter. Not to spam a topic, but I'll submit my little scumbag seller from a while ago who offers to remote install ROMs for, in quotes, ROM collectors who don't know how. Wow. Okay. Looks like this is Detroit City. It looks like this is the ad. Retro gaming for PC, $60. Do you have a PC, laptop, or arcade cabinet and miss playing all of the arcade classes? If so, I can help. I'm offering to install MAME on any of your previous devices mentioned for $60. You'll need 80 gigs of free space on your computer, and you can use a portable hard drive.
That's less than $1 a gig.
The software I use supports Windows 7 through 10. You will receive 3,600 arcade classics and custom artwork provided by the front-end big box. I also have 200 other emulators or game systems as well. Ask for Rob. And then there's a conversation that he screenshotted.
Oh, really?
Do you want to be the seller or you want to be Joe in this conversation?
I'll be Joe.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, how are you? I'm interested in your Craigslist ad, but I'm not sure how I get the games on my computer. Do I send the computer to you?
What systems do you want?
What can you do? Does it affect the pricing?
Yes.
Are certain systems more expensive to do, Rob?
Depends on the system.
Ooh, cool. What kind of systems cost more? I'm thinking I want N64, MAME, and NES.
I'll do those three for $50.
Cool. How many games does that come with?
You get all the Nintendo 64 games, and 3,500 MAME games.
Very cool. How do we do this?
Do you have internet at home?
That's yes.
On the computer where you want the games, download TeamViewer.
You will need 90.
You will need 90 gigs of free space.
Okay, and TeamViewer will give you access to my computer so you can download the games?
Yep.
How do I know it'll work? I don't know if my computer does all that.
What kind of computer do you have? Does it have Windows 7, 8, or 10? How old is it?
I think it's
How old is it?
I think it's a C64, so Windows 10.
There shouldn't be a problem. Curious if you have USB controllers.
I have controllers for my N64.
Oh, I'll use it. USB Xbox 360 controllers.
Cool. Hey, man, are you still available to do the remote install on my computer?
That was our play. Sorry, I flubbed the one line. It's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
You're giving this guy remote access to your PC to install ROMs and paying him to do so.
How? I mean, just take a step back and listen to that sentence. Paying someone to remote access your computer and install ROMs. That's the shadiest fucking shit.
Oh my god. So you get so far so in the process you get so far of having emulators or knowing you want them, but I guess you stop and say I don't want to search for them, and I will pay someone to get them for me, by the way, and trust them to come on my computer to install them. All right.
This is it kept going too.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Well, Oh, okay. I didn't see it. What's the last one?
So, okay. So Rob's like, you don't have emulators on your PC?
Oh, here we go.
They're paying for my time, not my ROMs, especially if they already have the ROMs on their PC.
Wait a minute, if they have the ROMs on PC,
what do we need this for?
Wait a second.
Why on earth would anyone pay you
Oh,
to
he
download
goes
an emulator
off.
if they already have all the ROMs? Rob, your language was not service-oriented. Your head states I have over 200 different systems, and you told me that pricing depends on the system. That sucks, Rob. It's no different than selling a flash drive.
Okay, so Joe basically wanted to get the information out of him. Oh, my God. And then there's more arguments from there.
Yep.
And it goes on.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it goes.
It's not a scam if they have the ROM set on their computer. I don't know I'm talking like this, but don't know how to get it to work with their emulator.
Yeah, anyways, this goes on and on, but yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks. We appreciate this.
Wow.
Yeah, that's real bad.
Wow. What's his seller's name? Rob? Man, I know a lot of Robs. All right. Well, that was a nice spin on the traditional, ROM seller on eBay, I guess. Putting them on your PC for you. Woo! What if you drove the PC over to their house to do it? That'd be nice. Show it with your laptop or USB drive. It's not hard to figure out how to use emulators.
Dressed like fucking Mario.
The whole point is just do it yourself. It just makes it all skeevier. Don't let someone put them on your computer. That's just kind of weird. All right, well, that was interesting. I'm glad we had a scumbag seller of the week for the 150th episode. But that was really strange. And claps to me. Applause to Ian and I. We don't want the claps. Applause to Ian and I for our great role play we did there.
Yeah, it was good. It was good stuff.
All right,
now,
Ian, we have Tales from the Game Store.
Wow. All right. So, yesterday, a gentleman walked in. Old man. Looking a little disheveled. I'd seen him before, but I couldn't remember where I had seen him. Mm-hmm. So he comes in, he's got a bag, and he's very nice. I need to stress, this is a very nice guy. Real nice. He's got a big bag. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, a memory card. I need something. I need something for my PlayStation 2 because my girlfriend needs to be able to play it.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So he opens his bag and he pulls out this PS2. And I explained to him, memory cards and controllers and things like that. I'm showing him everything. And I'm like, so, yeah, you'll need this memory card. It's, and then you might want another controller because your controller here is broken. He's like, yeah, I need to get those. I need to get them because he's like, oh, my old lady. I've been sleeping on the roof the past few nights.
Wait, what?
I've been
the
sleeping
roof?
Yeah.
You didn't mean the couch?
No, he meant. I think he meant it as like a figure of speech.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I need to give her something to do, or else she's gonna keep hitting me. And I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, domestic violence.
And I was like, oh no, because this is a very
How
nice
old was this guy?
He's got to be. He looks like he's seen some miles. I would say he's probably like 55, but he looks like 65.
But you think it's a pushover? In this case, ooh, jeez.
So I'm like, oh, Jesus. And as he's talking about it, his girlfriend comes in. And she's fucking tanked. And they had been
Same age about? 50s?
Yeah, a little bit younger, probably. And I've seen her in the store before. And I remember I had to just stop talking to her because she was so drunk. And that's why I remembered Tom. That's the old guy's name, Tom. Because he had to drag his wife out of the store.
Okay.
So he laughs it off, and I'm not sure if, like, he's being, like, serious about it. He's like, yeah, or she'll keep hitting me. And I'm like, oh, this is taking a dark turn. And then, he's talking about sleeping on the roof. So his wife comes in, or his girlfriend comes in, and she just runs up to the counter and starts hitting her hand on the counter. Now, Tom totally seems 100% sober. I mean, I deal with a lot of fucking drunk people. Tom seems very sober. His girlfriend comes in and she is not sober. And she comes up and she starts banging on the counter. I need a controller.
I need a controller.
That's basically
nah.
That's a very close. It's a very close.
I'm good at a 48-year-old drunk woman.
Yeah,
you got a PS2 controller.
I have to be honest with you, Pat. It's disturbing how close you are to this voice.
I think I need one of those memory cards, too, for that.
So she starts telling me about it, But then she starts talking about how it's broken. So they're going to buy a new system. And Tom's like, no, it works fine. We just need a new controller. And we need this memory card.
Don't tell me what I need, man. Don't tell me.
And she's like, well, what about a PlayStation 1? I'm like, we don't have it. And she's like, well, I'm going to come back to buy one. I'm going to buy a PS4. I'm like, okay. So then Tom is being really nice. Tom's being a sweetheart. He's like,
sweetheart, we just need a controller.
He's like, just calm down.
Yeah,
he has a real deep voice.
Sweetheart, we need it. Calm down, baby.
He's like, look, I'm going to get you this controller and the memory card. And then you got 3 games at home. And you can play these all day. And I'll get some peace and quiet. That's what he said.
Oh, no. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What did she say?
She's like,
Don't call me one peace and quiet in my house.
So, and he says it in a laughing way. He's being very nice. Like,
He's being jovial.
I need to stress just how nice this man is and how awful this woman is.
She sounds like the Fratelli mom from the Goonies, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of sound, a little bit.
But slapping him around.
Yeah, so
God.
She immediately goes over to the PlayStation 2 game section. She's not listening to him. And she just starts picking all these games. I'm going to play this one.
Where's the Harvey Birdman? Where is it?
I want this one. And Tom's like, I don't have that kind of money. He's like, and then they start getting into an argument. He's like, you can't walk all over me and this, that, and the next thing. I'm like, oh,
wow.
No. Oh, no.
Come on, Tom. Stand up for yourself, buddy.
So Tom's standing trying to say, and he's like, I was going to pay 20. He's like, I'll put 40 in towards this. He's like, it's for you. She's like, you play it as well. He's like, I play it because it keeps you happy.
Aw.
Yes. So he's like, I don't want to play these games. So so then they get into an argument. They're buying like $80 worth of stuff. And she's like, okay, you put in 60, I'll put in 20. And he's like, no, I'll put in 30. You put in the rest. And they have this argument back and forth. And eventually Tom's like, I'm putting in 40 and you're putting in 40. And she's like, I will not put in 40. And he goes to leave. And then she has like a little childlike conniption. Her brain just fucking loses it. And he comes back and he pays the 40. And then they leave. And then they walk away. And she comes back in like 30 seconds later. How much for a controller? I have a controller for you, is what I hear coming from down the street.
I want a controller. I want a controller.
So yeah, that's. I felt bad for Tom.
How do you still work in retail after all this time?
I don't want to anymore.
I mean, why? What's wrong with you, Ian?
Someone who loves me offered me a great job.
We could have done the daily podcast. Why are you laughing at that?
I mean, we could.
Ian, you just had to go. You just had to fucking take the plunge at some point. That's all I was waiting for. The CU podcast plunge. You didn't want to take the plunge.
The Pepsi plunge.
You had to. Did you want to do the other one? Or
No, that's
okay.
That's good. The other one was very small. It was basically just this woman, and she was very nice. Comes in with her kid. Her kid's like 12 years old. And someone was like, oh, maybe he was, he had mental problems. You shouldn't talk about people online. And I'm like, look, it's my job. I can talk about people if I want. And this kid did not have any. This kid had no learning disabilities. No, not that I could. He just walks in with his mom. He's like, hey, and then he walks in and he sees the bongos and he goes over to him and he's just like, and I'm like, and there's 4 sets of them in the center thing. And there's a note on each one. Please do not bang on the bongos. Big paper note. Like, you can't hit the bongos without hitting the note.
Oh, sure.
And, yeah, someone was like, well, move the bongos.
Did you yell at him?
I stood up because he kept going and the mom wasn't saying anything. And I was like, why? Why won't you read the note?
You just exploded?
Yeah, I couldn't help it anymore. I stood up and said, why won't you read the note?
With your hands
Yeah,
like
I
this?
was like,
like a fucking crazy person
Yeah.
on the subway? What did the mom do?
The mom laughed and goes, she literally laughed and turns to her son and was like, stop that. That's really annoying.
See, that's a nice mom.
So
I respect the moms nowadays to be like, don't you tell me how to raise my kid. No, your kid's a brat.
no,
your kid should know how to read when he's 12.
She laughed. She was like, I'm sorry. She's like, stop that. Knock it off. It's annoying.
Good on that, mom.
So
Good on that, mom.
people get mad at me when I talk about this stuff online, and it's like,
Lighten up, Francis. There's nothing wrong with
you're
it.
you're taking me far more seriously than you should. And yes, I do get
The
mad.
job
and I
is
have these
killing him.
issues.
I don't know why he's still there, but this gives him some joy. This is his therapy session.
Yeah, I got a vent.
All right,
so,
Ian, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Ian, we got a Patreon poll topic. Every week you can go to
Patreon.com/CU podcast.
Woo, raising that average up to 250.
Yep.
We're back from 200. In third place, third and second place were really tight. I might keep them both for the next week. Third place at 24%. What retro game console would you want an entire library of? No questions asked. Second place, what bad games have good soundtracks at 29%. In first place at 47%, which is almost what it was last week, by the way. Ian, what would the CU podcast look like without Pat?
I'd probably discuss a lot more modern gaming. First and foremost.
Okay.
I'd probably be able to keep up on that stuff.
Is that a hint?
I mean, it's a little bit of a hint. I'd also probably take a lot more. I'd probably do a lot more, I don't know, esoteric topics.
Well, first of all, would it be an Ian solo podcast, or would you want a partner?
Oh no, I'd have to find a partner. I would never do a solo podcast.
Okay.
Ever.
You don't think you'd have the cojones for it, or you just don't feel it's interesting you talking about stuff?
I just can't listen to myself ramble for that long. I can't.
Okay.
So I'm thinking like someone like a Richard Masucci would be a real good co-host.
Oh, you think so? You think there'd be some good interplay there?
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
You think that would be good?
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
You don't think he would say he was sick and not show up when he's really not sick?
I mean, he might. Anyways, so maybe him or I could probably find someone else that was pretty good too.
You're going in a direction there for a second.
No one.
I thought we were going a nice, tidy little skit direction there.
No.
Ian's got cold feet, I think.
Because we talk about it a lot. I'd probably discuss some more music stuff, and the podcast would probably be much shorter. Well, not shorter than this.
We do an hour 15.
Yeah,
now.
not shorter than this.
We don't do those 3-hour sessions anymore. We used to, or 2 hours.
If it was just me, it would have to be a lot shorter.
If it was just you, would you do like a radio voice, like, "Hey, this is Ian popping out in San Diego. It's clear skies and good tunes are happening."
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I mean, the podcast, obviously, if you change it too much, it wouldn't be the CU podcast. But if I did the CU podcast, I'd probably talk a bit more about modern stuff. I'd probably focus on indie games a lot.
Well, let's put it this way: Pat's not going to be around forever. I could drop dead tomorrow. I would, power of attorney to Ian for the podcast. You can take it over. Seriously though, it's a brand, so it could be something to think about. You have those contingency plans.
I can think of some people who would be fun as co-hosts.
And I hate to say it, there might be a time where, I don't know, like maybe later this year where Pat needs a sabbatical since he hasn't gone on a real vacation in 12 years. Maybe you could think about a replacement for a week or two to help out.
Eric from Retail Archaeology would be a solid guy. So would John Riggs. John Riggs would be a good one too.
Well, are you there within driving distance, or
no? We just have to do it over the
Skype?
internet. Yeah.
I'm just saying, not a hypothetical. That could be something that has to be addressed later in the year. Because Pat not be around for every week.
You hear that? You two, you're my draft picks.
And I think, and it'll be fun. It'd be a different flavor, obviously.
Yeah.
It was different flavor when I did it by myself. I don't know how I did them, but I think they were a little bit morose, and some of them, and I was bitter and angry, and because I was tired and exhausted. Talking by yourself for 2 hours or more, it just gets fucking tedious.
Sure.
Especially when it's about video game topics. When I do the Not So Common podcast and talk about stuff, if it's fun, it's fun. But when you're talking about, what fucking video game news do I got to talk about myself for 10 minutes and do that 20 times in a row, it gets a little awkward. So, all right, I look forward to the Patless CU podcast.
We'll check it out soon.
We'll just say maybe around July.
July.
Maybe. Just hypothetically. We can prepare for it. But we'll see about that. All right, so we got that podcast topic out of the way.
Yep.
All right.
All right. We have a Q&A.
Q&A time. on the CEU podcast. This is from at Cult of Owls, Marcus Aurelius, who has been a name I've seen come up before. Not the original, probably. That would be kind of weird. Can you discuss the rising prices of season passes, especially the $93, I think it is, Dead or Alive 6 pass, which is just costumes and 2 DLC characters.
This is just absolutely absurd. So, yes, season passes, the price of season passes has been rising. You know, I mean, they would start for
rising.
You know, $20, I believe, was like a
season pass rising.
You know, that was say the season pass for Zelda, Breath of the Wild. But now you're getting season passes where you buy a game for $60 and they're immediately expecting you to shell out another $50-$60.
But the Zelda one, though, you get an entirely new game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you get a bunch of new stuff. But I'm just making comparisons. So, like, with the Zelda one, you had $19.99. And that was, you know, that's reasonable for the amount of stuff. And there's other games that have done that as well. The Fallout expansions early on were relatively cheap, but there was multiple. So nothing really compares to, like, Nintendo is doing it pretty slowly. But, so now, like, Destiny comes out, and then you get a, you know, a $40 to $60 season pass on something like that. And, yeah, the prices, you're basically buying, at this point, it literally feels like you're buying half a game for some of these.
Sure.
Because you're paying $60 and then you're expected to basically shell out another $60 to keep that game current for a year.
Especially with these fighting games doing it, because they're adding characters that you're going to play against and need to know how to at least use or, you know, have experience with.
So, fighting games have done it for a long time, and the passes are generally
Capcom start that?
Yeah, they're generally not, like, cheap, but, you know, they're like $19.99 for a year's worth of characters or something like that, or $29.99. Well, Dead or Alive has always topped that.
They've always been a little egregious.
The Dead or Alive 6, the season pass, is going to cost $93, and it's like 2 characters and a bunch of costumes.
2 characters.
2 characters.
And costumes for $93.
And like almost 100 costumes or 65 costumes or something like that.
And the game costs like $60, right?
The game is $60.
So you're looking at $153.
Yeah, dropped nearly $100 on 2 new characters and 62 costumes.
Which is a lot of costumes, but that's $1 a costume.
I mean,
if you're looking at $15 a character.
And generally, characters are usually only $5. And most other fighting games, when you download them, $5 to $8.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, sure, if you like costumes, that's a lot of costumes. But no one needs that many costumes. Now, it's...
Are they preying upon, I'll just say, a certain character, like a certain fan that would go out of their way to buy all these costumes?
No, definitely not with 2 packs, one being called Happy Wedding Costumes Volume 1 and Happy Wedding Costumes Volume 2.
Okay. Or the My Shiranui debut costumes pack.
Yeah.
Is she the one with the gigantic ones? My Shiranui?
My Shiranui is
I know that
King
name.
of Fighters.
Oh, okay.
But she's going to have a special... Yeah,
but I know that name. That's one of the infamous characters, isn't it?
Well, My Shiranui is King of Fighters, not Dead or Alive.
No, but I'm saying I've heard that name for a reason.
Of course. She has huge boobs.
Okay, so that's why, but that's a specific costume pack.
Yep.
So that's, again, a certain type of video game fan.
Sure.
Oh my God, yes.
That might not... So,
I looked at My Shiranui. Holy shit.
So it lists everything. Happy Wedding Costume Pack Volume 1, Costume Pack Volume 2, additional character, My Shiranui debut costumes, additional new character unannounced, additional new character debut costumes. That might not seem like a lot, but it works out to about $1 a costume and $15 for each additional character, which that pricing's weird. Plus, there's peace of mind from knowing that you're completely covered for Dead or Alive 6 DLC for 3 months.
For 3 more months afterwards, if we decide to do something else.
Because there will be more. So this is not new. In Dead or Alive 5 Final Round, there were DLC packs with costumes that were over $100.
Okay.
I mean, it's insane. Not saying it's not insane. I'm just saying this is not new for Dead or Alive. And
I will say this.
I'm sure that the characters will be released without the season pass. But this just shows that there is a market for it. They're not doing this if there isn't a market.
I will say this, that this fan base is very vocal, vociferous, if I can say that. In terms of the scale of attacks we've gotten, the DOA fan base has gone after us. At least
Heaven
more than
forbid
once.
I say a girl looks like she's 15.
But even before that, for saying stuff is a little bit just a little over the top and creepy, they go in on you for that, for saying like, how dare you say, hey, I'm not saying it's illegal for you to like this stuff. I just think personally it's creepy. Like, you know.
If you want to play a one-handed fighting game, that's fine.
Sure. I'm not even saying it's one-handed, but you know, when half of the franchise value is, you know, the jiggle factor to you in your fighting game, I'm just saying.
No, it's hard to take it serious that Tecmo wanted to make this game, and they did it a little bit with 5, and now they're trying to do it with this, because Dead or Alive are fun fighting games.
They're technically fun games, but mechanically they're fun.
They said they wanted this one to be taken more seriously,
Well,
so
it's
they were
not.
eliminating jiggle mechanics and all that stuff.
I remember, but when you have a wedding costume,
But then when you
come on,
but then when you throw $93 of DLC content, most of which that is costumes,
Come on.
that is probably skimpy. I'm going to assume there's at least some bikinis and bathing suits in there.
yeah, and the franchise is like the opposite of most when there's barely any male characters compared to all the females.
So you ripped out that aspect of it, and now you're just charging for it separately.
And you're bringing in a name I only know about because she has huge bajangas from another franchise. I mean, that's the only reason I've heard of her. I think because
She's a classic character, man.
yeah, but the only reason, okay, the only reason I heard of it is because that was the joke that Matt Pat did in the Chris's video about which one's bigger, my Shinu's left breast or right breast. It was like a joke he did in the video, so I didn't. Okay, she must have giant ones because of that. That's all. All right, well, that's an interesting topic. I think it's extremely nuts, and they're preying upon, I'll just say, a certain type of fan. That's all. Okay, we are here with Prosecco in hand for the 150th episode. CU Podcast Memories.
Cheers.
All right, celebration. All right. Anything you want to say before we go into the hashtag?
No, let's just go right to the hashtag and see what people are going
You
to
don't
say.
want to say something? You feeling better since the 100th episode, you said?
Well, I
That was
have
a year and a
been
half
feeling
ago?
better since the 100th episode. I mean, before that too, but it's been nice to have a solid chunk done now. You know, it feels like I'm actually back.
You've
back.
been back since the Goldberg return.
Put a sandwich in this hand.
Okay, so here's some CU Podcast memories. Rather than a specific topic, I'm just going to run through a bunch of them. My memories of the summer of my sophomore year in high school. I was away at summer camp and really wanted to go home. I found the CU Podcast, being subscribed to past channel, thought I'd give it a try. Sealed as a memory.
I mean, it's not.
Ian having a tall, ice-cold Tecate during each episode, then having to rush through the end of the Q&A so he could pee.
Yeah, that is
That was
a
the first few years, and I did not like that at all.
That was fun.
little unprofessional, but okay.
Nothing unprofessional about having to pee.
No, it's unprofessional about drinking enough that you have to pee during the podcast.
I mean, I drink plenty of water and I have to pee too.
I don't miss the Tecates. I'm not saying Ian would show up drunk to the podcast. I thought he drank a little bit too much every once in a while on the podcast. I didn't like it.
It was like a beer.
It helped for some podcasts though, where he was nice and loose to go off on Zack Snyder. So it was fun. Ian's defense of garbage plates.
Oh yes, garbage plates.
That was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I'm glad that someone remembers.
Which is what was it? Beans and what the fuck was it?
A garbage plate.
Baked beans.
A garbage plate. Listen, mac salad, French fries, home fries, baked beans. Pick two.
Oh, I love mac and cheese. I don't like beans.
Mac salad.
Oh, mac salad.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
French fries, home fries, mac salad, beans. Pick two.
Definitely beans. You want protein. I would do beans and either. Ooh, that's tough. I'll do beans and mac salad.
All right. Then you throw the basic one is you throw 2 cheeseburger patties on top.
Okay.
Ketchup, mustard, a handful of chopped onion, and what's known as
Is it chopped meat or patties?
patties.
It's actually patties.
Yeah, it's patties.
Okay.
And then you top it with what's known as a Texas sauce or hot sauce, which is kind of like a very fine meat sauce.
I'm getting hungry. I'm in fasting.
And They're delicious.
Okay. When Pat raged over Devin Faraci's borderline slanderous article, no, it was slanderous, on James Rolfe's video on why he didn't review Ghostbusters 2016. Then the fall of Faraci and discussion on that. I don't try to revel in people's misfortune, but he really went too far. He's the biggest fucking slime ball ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad that he was found out for the piece of shit he really was. He was fired from all his jobs. Biggest fucking scumbag how he treated women. And then he goes off on my friend James to try to say that he hates women. Fucking piece of shit. All those assholes that slandered James during that time. Some apologized. I think Patton Oswalt might have apologized. Not personally, but maybe online. But that was ridiculous. I'll be peeing in a Dixie cup of... What? What the fuck? I think someone just got our CU podcast memories hashtag in it.
Oh,
Can't go wrong with Pat's bedroom Batman rant. Pat's bedroom Batman rant.
I mean, it must have been like the first episode of the second episode.
Oh,
when
we recorded in the bedroom. Okay. Did I have more of a rant or you did? Pat versus Paulie D. Fuck you, Paulie D.
Oh, that was great. That was great. Fucking handing out cannolis.
We got a problem.
Oh my god.
I want that smoke.
Fucking, oh my Jesus Christ.
Disgusting.
Feeding people cannoli filling with a pastry bag.
Which sounds unsanitary, by the way. Probably delicious,
A
though.
fucking dude in a Mario costume with an Italian flag on stage.
Oh, fuck!
Jesus Christ.
At Winter Ion, Daniel Greenberg, our pal, writing for Super Nintendo Guidebook. Live recordings are always fun. How many different conventions have you recorded CU podcasts at? Oh, God.
Every one we've done.
Too Many Games, a video game con in Jersey, Portland, obviously, SoCal, Phoenix, Game on Expo. It's 5. What am I missing from those? Am I missing any?
I don't know.
Is that the heavy hitters? You never went to Retropalooza with me, right?
No.
I think those are the 5 we've done. Yeah, and they're all fun.
Yep.
I might be missing one. The time Ian imagined Pat turned into a grape lollipop.
That's still one of my favorite things a listener has put together. That's a great video.
Where I turned to a lollipop and Ian licks his lips at the right moment.
Yep, like those old cartoons.
Sonic Adam says it has to be the Mom Man. Mom Man! That was when we did the 5 or 6 episodes at Ian's place while in the middle of moving. Every time Ian remembered the Patreon URL in the first try. It's happened a few times.
It has.
It's happened. Remember the one time Ian did that thing? You responded by saying you did. Good times. Funny. Little bitch, of course.
Little bitch.
One of the first tales from the game store.
Yep.
One of the first. Momoa Mom Man update in Robert Stack voice. The many tales from the game store has only been about 3 or 4. If you don't count the previous.
Well, there's been. I mean,
I didn't coin the phrase until recently.
Not as a segment.
Ian's love of Batman versus Superman. Danny Sullivan. I don't know what you're talking about with that. How you handled the end of your YouTube career. I think we've handled it well.
I think we took it
in Coleco, Switch reveal, Hashsteroids. Oh, God, it's one of my favorite things.
Hashsteroids was one of my favorites.
Aquaman Justice League reveal trailer. Aquaman Justice League? I mean, just Justice League. NES Classic reissue. Ian's recovery. Also be sure to mention a certain NES guidebook and Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat. Damn it. He's, wow. I like the time you reminisce about Christmas mornings. The Venom Quaker Oats debacle.
Oh boy, yeah.
Symbiotes and Ian revealing the world that he is fearful
of the
kindly Quaker Oats guy. Then a guy did a creepy fucking video on it. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No.
There's a creepy YouTube video about the guy talking about Quaker Oats meal and the relationship to your mother. It's creepy as fuck.
Neat.
The triumphant return of Ian from his health hiatus. Ian still doesn't like that I did that, but I thought it was good.
I hated it. But as long as everyone had fun.
Ian doesn't like theatrics. Ian Stalker Saga, the time of Scumbag Seller listing was taken down right when you guys were talking about it. It did happen. I don't know which one that was. Tim Atwood Saga, the GameStop Retro Initiative Saga. That was a saga. That was like our version of this asshole putting out the fucking Zelda song. Cleo Chameleon Saga, my favorite moment so far. The time when Ian returned from a long hiatus. Denny's and Atari collab. I don't know if we've laughed as much as we did, both of us in a segment. I don't know if we have.
That was a great one.
When you ripped Rooster Teeth up and down because they went after Jeff Gerstmann's Fallout 4 review. How I found you guys. Yeah, we did. Wow. We took them to the woodshed. I don't know if we would have been as harsh nowadays, but yeah.
Did you know that there was a commercial for Hashsteroids?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm about to watch it.
Hand washing gate. Oh, that's fairly recent. When you guys continually shit on the Atari VCS, even from the beginning. Well, I don't know if we shit on it. Just it's a bad idea. Ian's story, Ranch Dressing. The 3 stories that had the little bitch line. There was 3 stories, little bitch.
I don't remember.
Halloween, Christmas stories. Calico Chameleon. Diablo man babies who insist your career is over because you called them out in their entitlement. DuckTales theme at the beginning. Well, I brought it back. Pat and Ian completely smacking down the Fine Brothers. Pat's fake crying is what sells us.
Oh. Yeah, that was good.
Listening to Pat talk about his haunted house while at my night job all alone. I was paranoid at every mundane noise like the building AC turning on. Ian still doesn't believe me when it comes to my stories.
I don't believe anyone.
Even though his family believes in the stuff he doesn't. It's like my dad. Cynic and all.
It's fair.
That's fair. All right, that's a good rundown of some of them.
Yeah.
There's some of the people that put the hashtag, the limited button. I don't know how I came up with that fucking idea. I don't know.
It was sitting here.
It was when I just started hitting it. Crazy kid's birthday party I went to. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Well, it's been a fun 150.
That sure has.
It's been decent. We've had a lot of fun.
It's been all right.
We're probably missing a couple of big moments. Lollipop Days cartoon. Check it out. Check out Pat and Ian in Lollipop Days.
Yes.
Oh, the time you talked about working, the horrible time working for the video store. Oh, you mean Suncoast? Those pieces of shit? Oh, yes. Yeah, I spoke about that a couple times. That was the worst ever. Pat being sexually aroused by the collector coming out with dozens of seal statements. Oh, yeah, Tim Atwood. Tim's doing well. He's doing okay. And the Denny's collab. Wow, I almost forgot about the Devin Faraci one. I want to go back and watch that. I probably fucking tore his throat out. I don't even remember that. Was that at your place? It might have been at your place. That stuff happened a year and a half ago or 2 years ago.
I think it was even before then.
Fucking slime ball. Happens sometimes. A lot of guys that proclaim the loudest, oh, you hate women. A lot of times those are guys are the slimy ones. It's the way it works. Not always. It happens sometimes. Trying to cover up their own shitty fucking behavior. Anyway, all right. Well, this was a fun See You podcast.
There we go.
150. Why look into my eyes like that, dreamy? That's a lot of. That's we'll just say on average 300 hours we spent together.
Fuck.
Doing the pod. Not counting the prep. Not counting the phone calls.
Yeah, we're just talking in person.
300 hours. Let's do some Pat math. We gotta mention Pat math. Without the calculator, 300 hours. That's 24. That's like what is that? That's like 13 days. 13 days we've spent together.
Yeah.
Just recording. Is that right?
I don't know.
You're like, I don't care.
I'm about to find out.
300 divided by 24. 12.5. Wow, Pat math on point. Wow. Wow. There it is. There's the poster. Wow. Didn't use a calculator. Woo. On point. There it is. Price or Right rules up closest. I did go over. Price was lower. I was close. I went over. All right. That's Ian Ferguson.
That's me.
I'm Pat Contry.
Him.
If you're listening to this on audio, we're going to go on Twitch right now and have some fun. See you later.